My name is Kelly and welcome to our online service. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know about our in-person Sunday morning service at 10:30 a.m. If you are ever in our area, we would love for you to come and worship with us. But today, let us know where you're watching from. We love reading all the comments. I'm super excited for you to hear today's message, so let's jump right in.
We're kind of in the series right now in the scripture that Pastor Steph really wants us to hone in on here is scripture in Philippians. If you go to Philippians 2:5, if you put that up on the screen, and it says, "And consider the example that Jesus, the Anointed One, has set before us. Let his mindset become your motivation." Let his mindset become your motivation. So what I hope to do today is spark a little curiosity. I hope today to spark a little excitement, maybe, what I'm going to talk about. And because it doesn't really have a main point, okay? But I just want to throw it out there like the crazy uncle, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just throwing it out there that this is a thing, and that, like, at least you were told, and I'm going to leave, and I'm going to come back next Thanksgiving, okay? So we were in a staff meeting the other day, and Pastor James was talking to us as staff members. And he was like, "Why do you come to church?" He wanted to know why we came to church and why we were on staff at a church, right? He was like, "I'm just curious. Like, I realize you get compensated by the church to be here with your time, but what is your other reason for being here?" Right? I think he was like just trying to spark some inspiration, like why are you here? Why do you do this, right? So he gave us a week to like think about it. And so I sat around for a week and I thought about it, and you guys want to know what it is? So, okay, good. So I was telling them in the staff meeting, so we had to prepare a speech of like why we did it. And what I told him when I thought about it, it really lined up with what we're talking about here, because here's the deal. I'll give you the short version. But I really feel like, okay, so Jesus is walking around, right? So let's go back to Jesus times. Jesus, right, is walking around, right? And he had the disciples with him, right? And so every day, Jesus would wake up in the morning and he would pray. And then they would start walking in a direction, right? So they would start walking in a direction, and then they would just run into people, right? And stuff would happen. Right? And that's what the Gospels are about. Like, the disciples walked around with Jesus, and Jesus is walking, and they're one of the disciples. They had to do crowd control, all kinds of stuff, right? And then they would be like, "Whoa, that person like ran into Jesus, or this crowd ran into Jesus, and this is what happened." And they would write it down, and they stuck it in this book, right? Is anybody following me on that? Okay, so I was like, the reason I come to church, are you ready? This is it. I really feel like a disciple. And I really feel like I'm trying to get a whole bunch of people into a room, because I know that day Jesus is going to walk by and something's going to happen. It's the only reason I do it. Every single week. They have to make me go on a vacation and take off on a Sunday. And even when they do, I go to church somewhere on a Sunday. Why? Because it's an opportunity for people to get into a room, and I know that Jesus is going to walk by and something is going to happen. And you might think, well, that's really weird, and I'll agree with you. But so that was it, you know? I was like, that's it. And Pastor James said something that was very interesting to me, which sparked this talk that I'm going to talk about. He said, he was like, maybe location means something, you know? He's like, maybe us in this room means something. He was like, there's a coordinate for every place that we're at. So like an XY coordinate, we're at a place right now on the map, right? He was like, but the variable that few people take into consideration is time, right? So we're all in this room together, right? It's whatever date it is, 2021, right? But pre-1987, 6, I forget when this place was built, but This was like a pasture, right? There was probably cows here eating grass right where you're all sitting, right? Are y'all following me? So before that, who knows? Maybe there was a colony of people here. I don't know what was happening on this piece of property right here. But right now, in 2021, as we sit in here, there's concrete. We have the Thunderdome. There's pews, right? You're all here, right? And that makes this a moment. You see what I'm trying to say? So there's a story in the Bible about a guy named Zacchaeus. And if you don't know the story of Zacchaeus, Jesus was walking down the road, right? He was walking down the road, and there was a crowd of people. And Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. And he climbed up the sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see, you know? Right? So, and then Jesus is walking by, and there's crowds of people. There's people everywhere. And he looks up, and he says, Zacchaeus, you come down from there, because I'm coming to your house today. Right? Okay, moment in time. And then you read the rest of it. Zacchaeus' life has changed forever, yada, yada, yada. Right, okay, but that road existed before that point. That tree existed before that point, right? It had to be a pretty big tree. Just think logically with me for a second. It had to be a pretty big tree, right? It had to be somewhat climbable because Zacchaeus was a wee little man, right? Right? So obviously we can probably see, because I have an 8-year-old, that it was probably climbed before that moment. Right? Somebody had been in that tree before, right? But this time, on this day, at this coordinate of that tree, Jesus looks up and goes, I'm coming to your house today. May I spark your curiosity that today, Jesus is walking by, and today could be your day. It could be your day. Things I've seen in a church service. Okay, so you know how the internet kind of blew out information, right? Pre-internet, you didn't know too much stuff unless you read in a book or you came across somebody, right? But the internet gave you all the information, right? Which is an amazing thing. I feel like God is wanting to blow out, take the lid off what we think is possible when Jesus walks by. I was in a meeting one time, church service, and a concert. And so we were there to see the concert. It was a worship concert. It was awesome. And this pastor got out on stage, and he said, hey, welcome to the concert tonight. Well-known worship team, excited to sing and do things. He goes, hey, listen, I just want to challenge you guys for a second that when you worship God and you reach out to God and you lift him high in your life, he was like, we're going to create a moment here. And when we create that moment, I want to challenge you to talk to him about that thing that's going on in your life. He was like, so this is, and he was like, and I want to challenge you on that God won't meet you right here on this night in this day. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So he goes, and this is what we've seen so far. And he just started naming stuff that God's shown up and done in people's lives. I mean, a whole slew of things, tumors melting off of people, like arms that couldn't go past here, now go here. People that were battling with depression broken off, anxiety broken off, the multitude of things that God can show up and do in a moment. And he goes, and I want to challenge you that could be your tonight could be your night. And so he gets off stage, that's all I said. So he gets off stage and the worship concert was awesome. It was great. It was really good. And about an hour and a half in, it ended and the pastor came back out on stage and he said, did anybody take me up on it? Did anybody even try? Did anybody even go, you know what, let me give it 1 second of thought? Did anybody do that? If you did, raise your hand. And hands went up all over the arena. I think it was probably 2,500 people there, something like that. And I was like, whoa. He's like, would anybody be willing to come up here and say from the microphone what Jesus did in their life today? And people got out of their seats and they made a line, boom, and it was a long line. And he was like, what did God do? And they were like, oh my God, my shoulder, blah, 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 or whatever it was, and just the whole place went bananas, right? And this went on for a while because there was a lot of people in that line. Me and my wife, we went together. And I just sat there in awe of like, this is on a whole different level. This is on a whole different level of anything that I've ever been a part of, right? And I've been in church my entire life. And so, like so many times, like I'm just gonna be honest with you, we're looking for a person, we're looking for the anointed one, we're looking for something else, some faith factor out there to like show up, to be like, no, you're really close to Jesus. You need to pray for this because I know that if it goes through you, he'll listen. Anybody ever been there? Because I've been there. I've been in so many meetings, like, I just feel like if the guy would pray for me right now, everything would work out in my life. And which is a perfectly good thing, but this was on a different level. A different level. A bunch of people just got in a room and Jesus walked by and things changed. And I was like, this is the start of something else, you know? Things I've seen. I've told you guys about my anxiety, you know? If you haven't heard about it, I had almost crippling anxiety for a long time. And I tried everything I possibly could to fix it. Except I didn't go to the doctor and get like clinically diagnosed with anxiety and take anxiety medicine. That was the next step, right? Herbal supplements, everything that you can possibly think of. And I was just in a worship service one day and Jesus walked by and I was instantly healed. Instantly. I've never felt anxiety like that ever again. And we're going on like 2 years now. Nothing. The stuff stays the same. That's just not a thing. It's not a thing. So that's a cool thing in a service. I had somebody not too long ago, we were worshiping and right over here. Somebody was standing right over there. And they had lost a loved one. And they were really broken up about it. And they were like, God, if I could just see him one more time. If I could just see him one more time, I think I'll be all right. And she said, God, right there in that moment, right over there, opened up heaven and she saw him in heaven. She's like, that was it. That's all I needed. Thank you. And it went away. It was her day. I've seen a person come out of a wheelchair, and like, I know when I go there, people are like, oh, here we go. There wasn't anybody in the room. There was only 6 people in the room. So it wasn't a show. I've seen someone come out of a wheelchair, and I snuck in. I wasn't even supposed to be there. I was like, I got to see this. So like, I snuck in and sat in the back. It was that person's day. I think of a big miracle that happened in here. They were sitting right about over there. This lady had a big back brace on. It's on video somewhere. And all of a sudden, just in the middle of the message, she just got up and took this back brace off. She was like, God instantly healed me. And she started running around the place. That's a thing. That's a thing. Can't make that up. Like, that's a thing. I got like 20 of them on this piece of paper, so I'm trying to like pick through them the way that they kind of come to me. But just the other day, we weren't in a service, but a person who works here's son fractured his elbow, and we went to the basketball game, and he was going down the line, and he was giving everybody a good job just because he was there, and he pounded number 2's hand, and something in his arm changed, and his arm was fine. And all he could do was laugh. He was like, God fixed my arm. just his day, just his time. I was at a service one time, and there was a lady that was there, and she was battling some internal things. And after the thing, she got in the car, and they were like, "What's wrong with you? You feeling all right?" She was like, "I just feel like somebody's hands are inside of me, moving my organs around." And she's like, "That's the weirdest, did you like the service? Whatever, that's weird, right?" She went to the doctor, instantly healed of all the things that were going on inside of her. Instantly healed of all the things that were going on inside of her. I was at a service one time, and I was just standing there, and this lady came up to me, and she gave me a piece of paper. And I was like, okay. And she hands me this piece of paper, and she's like, "The Lord wanted me to give you this." And I was like, okay. And she was like, it was so awkward. It was so awkward. And she was like, "You're really handsome." And I was like, that's not a good way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't a good line, right? I was like, "Thank you." I don't know. Like, but she was like, so just like, "I have this piece of paper for you, but I don't know what else to say." You know what I'm saying? I was like, don't lead with that. But so I was like, this is what they're talking about. Crazy services, people doing crazy things, right? All this crazy stuff. And I looked at, she left. I looked at the piece of paper, and I was like, this makes no sense, one. And number two, she was so off the grid. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is what we're talking about. This is the casualties or whatever. And so, this thing, he looked at me weird. But so I went home and I put that note in my desk in my office. And about a month and a half later, I was sitting there, and I was doing something. I forget what I was doing. And the Lord goes, "Hey, get that piece of paper out." And I was like, "Oh yeah, from the crazy lady. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's read over that again." So I read over that. Everything on that paper came to pass. Everything to the T came to pass. It was just my day. I was in a service sitting right there. Pastor Steph got on stage, and she was ending her message, I'll never forget. And she goes, "I feel like the Lord wants to give somebody a financial breakthrough today." And I was like, I need one. You know what I'm saying? But I really did, okay? So I was like, yes, that's what I need. Like, yes. 3 days later, financial breakthrough. 3 days later. I was up here, and I really felt like the Lord was saying, something you tried was really hard. I told a story about my dad breaking up the ground and stuff. I don't remember if y'all are here. I just want to tell this short story because I'm running out of time already. But the Lord wanted me to basically tell people that, like, you tried something really hard and you just quit on it. And then He wants you to try again. And if you try again, it'll be much easier the second time because God went before you and made a way. That was the basis of it. So I just did it. No one came up to me and was like, that worked or anything like that. I was like, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe I missed it. So anyway, the last time I preached, that was a couple months ago. And that was like 4 months before that happened. So the timeline's weird. But anyway, this lady comes up to me and she was like, I've wanted to introduce myself to you. You just seem super busy all the time. And I'm like, probably. But she goes, I wanted to tell you that remember that one time that you said that, try that hard thing again? And I was like, yeah. She was like, it worked. We went home and we tried it again and it totally worked. I was like, yes. The Lord is good, right? It was that lady's day. There was a guy that he was in a motorcycle accident, and his legs had been busted. He broke both of his legs. They had been busted for 15 years. And he walked on crutches. He could barely move his legs. And he was at a service, and I was there, and it was his day, and the Lord healed him and healed his legs. No more crutches, full mobility, ready to party, awesome, right? And it just so happens to be when this guest speaker was at the church I was at. And it was so funny because that guy would come back every time that guy was there. right? And he would come early. So like I was in the band, we'd play and stuff, and he would show up. Here's the auditorium. He'd sit in that seat right over there. We could go there right now. How many times I sat next to this guy. Because this guy would just show up. And I'm like, dude, you're coming again? And he's like, I have to come. And he's like, why? He's like, do you know what it's like to have your legs broken for 15 years? And I was like, no. He's like, you pretty much can't do anything. Like, I couldn't do anything. They were just straight, going like this. He was like, I lived at a level 6 to 7 of pain every single day of my life for 15 years straight. And I was like, okay. He's like, the least I can do is show up and give some props. He lived a long way away. It's about 2 hours away. He's like, I'll come down because the Lord healed me right over there. And I was like, that's a good reason to do it. But it was just his day, right? It reminds me of a story in the scriptures. It's in Luke 17, and Jesus was walking down the road. Maybe we should read it, because in my notes it says, read, real big. All right. I hope this is poking at some curiosity, maybe? Nothing? Maybe? Okay. Luke 17:11. It's going to be on the screen. On the way to Jerusalem, he was passing along between Samaria and Galilee. He is Jesus, and he entered a village, that would be Jesus, and he met 10 lepers, and who stood at a distance and lifted up their voice, saying, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. When he saw them, he said to them, go, show yourselves to the priest. And as they went, they were cleansed, they were healed. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice, and he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. And he was a Samaritan. And Jesus answered, were not 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Was one found to return to give praise to God except this foreigner, which the other ones were a Galilean. And he said to them, rise and go your way, your faith has made you well, right? It reminds me a lot of that story in the Bible, where like these 10 people got healed, but only one of them came back to give God props about it. You know what I mean? And I was thinking about moments, and I was thinking about times, and where God, because that's my main motivation, right? That God would come by and something would change. It doesn't have to be anything, but I know that when God comes by and he does something in somebody's life to the extent where there's no other explanation, right? It just marks you and you just got to come back. You know what I'm saying? Because I like step programs. I do. But to me, it's in the level of like salvation. Just follow me for a second. I'm going to back it up scripturally. Just calm down, okay? Because in Ephesians, it says salvation is a free gift, freely given, right? Because if it was any more than that, me, would figure out some way to be like, yeah, I did that. You know what I mean? That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? We have this logical explanation for everything that happens in our life, right? That we've come up with, right? Because we're like super smart, you know, right? So, but when those moments of stuff like that happens in our life, we got no explanation for it, right? The only explanation, God, right? And it marks you, and it marks me. And I'm telling you that is my main motivating factor to show up here every week with you guys. The hope that it's one of you guys' day. You know what I'm saying? It's one of you guys' day. And I don't know, and I can't stand up here and tell you that I know the timing. Because the timing thing is the one that throws you off, doesn't it? This is the timing thing that's weird. Like, think of the guy 15 years on crutches, had a 6 or 7 level pain every single day of his life. Well, why didn't Jesus heal him on day 2? I don't know. I can't tell you that. I can't stand up here and tell you that. But I can tell you that it happened. right? I can tell you that it happened. You know what's funny? I've talked about this message with probably a handful of people this week, right? And you know what the funny part is? Every single one of them has a logical reason why each one of those things happened the way that they did. Every one of them. So let's start with Zacchaeus. Are you ready? We'll have a quick, lots of different Bible lessons in a row because I've been to 1 million church services. So you ready for Zacchaeus? Yes. If you want your miracle, guess what? You get in that tree, right? You stick yourself out. You don't come out above the crowd. You pick yourself up and you let Jesus see you above all of your other friends, right? And that's when Jesus is going to show up and give you the miracle. This is the part where you scream. That's it, preacher. That's it, right? So, I wonder how many people go get in a tree. And they're convinced it's in the tree, right? It's in the tree. It's in the sticking out. And if I stick out long enough, guess what? Oh, it'll happen. I did it the other day. I'm sitting here saying that like this is a thing that we do that's funny. When I got the word that that kid got healed of his elbow of what number 2 is, hitting number 2's arm, I was like, go get number 2 and have him fist bump other people, right? Go get number 2, because there's got to be something in number 2 that like chain reaction that, right? And y'all know y'all do that. Y'all know y'all do that when somebody says something, God does something in somebody's life. You like try to do that exact same thing. You know what I mean? I wonder how many people climb trees after they heard about what happened to Zacchaeus, right? But why is it inside of ourselves that we have to like formulate something? We got to come to this logical conclusion to why this happened. And then if we can figure out the formula, we can replicate it. And like when we're able to replicate it, that makes us feel really good inside, right? It makes us feel really good because we feel like we're in control. And that's what we really want. We want control. I'm a control freak and a half. So that's a thing. But my wife's like, hey man, that's the most truth you said all day. But we try to formulate it, right? It's too good. I wrote it down. It's not good. It's too good to like try to figure out what I just said. But here's the deal. When it becomes a formula, there's a mark that we have to hit on that formula. When it becomes a formula, there's a mark we have to hit. And if we don't hit the mark, we either hit the mark or we don't hit the mark. We start making moves in our life based on the success or failure of that mark. So, did you climb the tree? Yeah. Was it exactly at 12:03? Oh no, it's like 12:04. How do you expect Jesus to show up now? You know what I'm saying? What pants are you wearing? What does it matter what pants I'm wearing? Zacchaeus had really nice pants on, okay? But we do that. I'm preaching way better than you're amening because that's a true statement. Come on. But we do that. We find a testimony or whatever it is and we're like, that's it. Everybody go this way. Right? Right? We all have our own thing. Every single one of you. Yeah, just stand out of the crowd. Just kidding. Right? Mary Martha story. You want to sum it up right here? Mary and Martha. Which one's right? Oh, it's Mary. Oh, we're supposed to sit at the feet of Jesus. Oh. No, just kidding. Get off your butts. We got to get in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? We got to get in the kitchen. So which one's right? Mary and Martha. The answer? Yeah, totally. For sure. What factor aren't you factoring in? Time. For sure. What does it come with? Is it the desperation? Do we got to have the desperation of the lady that pushes through all the people to just touch the hem of his garment? Yeah? All right, everybody get desperate. Let's go. I think I could find every single time miracles happen, the opposite approach is used, and it still works. Still works. I did something not too long ago that I'm like, oh, I wish I could have done something different. So, talking to a friend, and I just started talking about spiritual things and how God talks to me and stuff. And he was like, that's amazing. And he was like, nothing like that's ever happened to me in my life. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, nothing. That is just so great. Like, I wish I could have an experience like that with God in my life. He's like, how'd you do that? How do you do that? Give me some like pointers, man. Give me some tips. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, no, that's good. I was like, okay. I threw a few scriptures at him, and I don't even want to go into it because y'all like shame me. But basically what I told him was like, posture yourself in a way to hear from God, right? And some of the things that you're doing, I think you can agree aren't, great connectors to like, I would be like, when's the last time you listened to worship music just to listen to it? He's like, never. You know what I'm saying? Like, when's the last time you cracked open your Bible? Can't remember the last day. You know what I'm saying? Like these things, and these are really great things. I'm not downplaying these things. Please hear me that I'm not downplaying these things. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give you a challenge, man. The next 30 days, just go after it, right? And I'm gonna believe that God's gonna show up and he's going to give you this experience like that you desire. Give me 30 days. And he's like, I'm in. So like, he was really good. He was really good till about 2 weeks in, right? And I don't think it happened. And the narrative that I would hear from him was it was less about like getting this thing because it hadn't happened yet, and more about the things that he's missing by this thing not happening, right? He already had day 31 planned out, right? How many of y'all been on a diet, right? And you've been on a diet and you're like, oh, I'm only gonna eat carrots. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why I picked carrots, but here we go. So, and then you're like, day 14, carrots, you know what I'm saying? And then you're like, think about it for a minute. And you're like, I don't feel any better. I don't know. Like, I can't wait till day 31 when I eat all the ice cream. You know what I'm saying? All the ice cream. Anybody been there but me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been there all the time. I'm like, dude, I can't wait till this diet's over. I'm going to eat everything. Right? Why are carbs so good? But, and they get better as the night goes on. You know what I mean? So, and I caught up with him after, and he's like, nothing happened, man. Nothing happened. It must not be a thing. And I was like, man. Because I know he gave it everything he got. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, you let me down on this one. Just yelling at God. That's how we do it. I yell at him a lot. And I was like, God, man, I messed up because I put a formula to it. I put a set of restrictions and constrictions on what God was capable of doing. And I was like, you know what I should have said? This is what I should have said. This is right. I should have said, you know what, man? You want to see God? Yeah. You want to hear God audibly? Yeah. You want this thing? Yeah. I was like, if I was you, I would sit right here. Not this exact spot, just where we were. I was like, I would just sit right here. And I'd sit on the floor and I'd go, all right, I'm sitting here until you talk to me. That's probably what I would do, honestly. And I was like, I would just sit here and I'd be like, until you talk to me, I'm not moving. So, and I was like, and you know what? It might not happen on hour 2. It might not happen on day 3. It might not happen on day 45. It might not happen on year 4, month 2, day number 7 at the 12th hour. I was like, but I guarantee you sit right here, God's gonna show up. Because he has in my life so many times. But once I put a formula to it, because that's even a formula. But once I put a formula to it, it seems like it loses its thing, you know? I was hearing the testimony of this healing evangelist guy. And he was like, I really, from when I was young, really felt like the Lord was calling me to be a healing evangelist. And if you don't know what a healing evangelist is, he goes around, Jesus uses him in mighty ways, and people get healed and things like that. And he was like, so I knew that was a big thing. He's like, so I just consecrated myself to the Lord. He was like, I was in college. He was like, I would shut myself in my room and I would just pray. He was like, I rented out one of the piano rooms, and I didn't even play piano. I just rented out this dark room where I could just every day just get in there for hours and just pray to the Lord. Because like I knew if God called me to big things, so I'm gonna get it, right? He was like, I'd get in there. He was like, in 10 minutes in, I'd done prayed everything that I could think of, so I just making up stuff. You know what I'm saying? I got hours. So okay, it's booked out for 3, and I've been here for 10 minutes. Right? And he was like, coincidentally enough, the guy across the hall from me also told people that he was called to be a healing evangelist. The difference between that guy and the guy across the hall was the guy across the hall was the most popular person at the college. He was the star quarterback. He was like, he was telling us, he was like, I wouldn't even go to parties. He was like, I wouldn't even go to social gatherings. I was like, nope, can't be around people. I gotta go sit in my room because God's gonna use me in this huge way. He was like, and that guy went to all the parties and everything. He was the most popular guy in the college. He's like, I can't even remember a time when I saw him reading the Bible. He's like, I used to carry mine around like this as I'm going from class to class. Here we go, right? He's like, and I was so frustrated. Because that guy got speaking engagements, right? People saw the gift on him and were like, whoa, hey, I need you to come and speak. He's like, I didn't even get one. And so I just consecrated myself more, right? Because I knew at some point, it's like it never happened. He's like, I was sitting in our room one day, so frustrated, right? And he just sat there and he goes, you know what, God? I'm done. I'm done trying to make something happen. I'm just going to show up here from now on, and you let me know when the day is. And he was like, and I just let it go. He was like, not too quickly after that, I got my first speaking engagement. And then I got another one and another one. And he became a world-renowned healing evangelist, traveling all the countries, doing huge things for God. But the story's kind of the same, right? But it was just his day. It was just his day. I'm trying to bring the thing to this. Because I hope I've sparked some curiosity of what God's able to do in each one of your lives, guys. You know, I was talking to a guy and he was like, whoa, man, we're just talking about, you know, the milk of God or the meat of God. Just be careful that like, that's a lot of meat. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like if you tell that to somebody who doesn't know Jesus or something, that's like really weird. Yes, I agree with you. But I just want to challenge what's possible through God. You know what I'm saying? On any level. It doesn't matter if you're brand new to Jesus or you've been a follower of Jesus for years, right? What God's able to do in a place like this, in a time like this, for this day. Pastor James says it all this time. It's amazing that God's called each one of us here for this time and this day. He's called each person to be a part of the church. He's called each volunteer. He's called everyone to be a part of this moment right here. It's amazing. Who knows what could happen? You know? I was at the gas station. I'm trying to put the feeling. I was at the gas station the other night getting some ice, right? Our ice machine's messed up. So And I was standing in line, and the person in front of me was buying a Powerball ticket. And he was jacked on this Powerball ticket. He was like, give me the Powerball ticket. And he was like, when I win, I'm gonna give you some money. He's like, I'll give you some money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, y'all have people in your life like that. Like, I'm gonna win the Powerball. Everybody around me is getting a Lambo. Instant Lambos. Everybody's getting a Lambo. Everybody's getting a Lamborghini. Let's go. Everybody's getting one, right? I know y'all all been there. Don't even lie at church like you haven't played the lottery one time. Lying at church, you see the hands. But I looked up the odds, right? The odds of winning the Powerball are 1 in 292 million, okay? And he only bought one ticket, you know what I'm saying? He only bought one ticket. So there you go. I mean, you can at least get like 2 or 3, you know, a 3 out of 292 million might be a little bit better, but like, I don't know how it's that much better, right? But what did he have? Did he actually think it was his day? I'm just thinking out loud. Let's just talk out loud for a second. Did he actually think it was his day? I know people, I remember when the Texas lottery came out. I remember we went down there and like my dad bought me some tickets. You know what I mean? Like, these are your 5, but if you win, I'll just give you some. You know what I mean? I just got to hold it in front of the TV. I know people to this day that still play the lottery every single week. Why? Because they go, it's my week. This could be my week that I win, right? And I'm trying to stir that. And why would that guy think that it was his week? Because he heard somebody else got it. Hey, I heard that somebody over there at that gas station won. That means I can win. Hey, I heard somebody across the country won. And it changed their life forever. I got a shot. You know what I'm saying? It reminds me of that movie. And that guy's like, level with me. This dude was like, and this girl was like way put together. And he's like, all right, level with me. What's the chances of a guy like me and a girl like you getting together? And she was like, 1 in a million? And he's like, so you're saying I got a chance? Right? That's what they're saying. I got a chance. You know the only variable that was the same in every one of those stories, and every one of you are right. Every time you picked one of those stories out and you think you have the logical reason why it had happened, and that's where the way you're living your life, like to see a miracle show up in that way, the answer is yeah. Because the only variable that is actually the same in every single one of those things is Jesus. Jesus walked by.
Thank you so much for watching with us. I hope you enjoyed the message today. We always want to give you an opportunity to be a part of what God is doing, and there is always something going on around here to be able to sow into. So if you'd like to give, you can text LS Church to 77977 or head over to our website at lschurch.tv. Again, thanks for watching, and we hope you'll join us again next week.